Christofferson here again with another first listen review, and this one is actually going to be really a first listen review. And the reason I call these things first listen reviews is because when I get the album, listen to it, and then give my immediate reactions on it, and I kind of started listening to the albums more and more and taking notes and doing all that kind of stuff. This one's going to be more of a back to the basics, if I could talk. First listen review, talking about the Flower Kings, and I'm going to be babbling about their new album, Love. And the reason I'm saying it's a first listen review because this was a really long album, and after listening to it, love the Flower Kings. I actually really like this album, but I was not going to go sit through it again. And it's nothing bad. I mean by that at all. But I put this in, sat down, put it in the stereo, sat down between speakers, gave it one solid listen through, and it's everything you'd want a Flower Kings album to be. It took you on quite a journey, but it takes a lot of, for me, this is like all my personal feelings on this one. It takes a little bit of concentration to really enjoy a Flower Kings album. It's not one that I put on. I just kind of put on as background music or as I'm driving and let it play. It's when I put on Flower Kings, I sit down and I listen to it, and I think this is album 17 if I'm not mistaken, and it's pretty much everything you would want from a Flower Kings album. That's one thing I can say about these guys, even though they've changed quite a few members. It's fairly consistent. There's a few things I did notice different, about this one, and they've changed a little bit here and there. They do have the original bass player back in the band, though, Michael Stolt, brother of Roy Stolt. Hopefully I said his name right. And also have Haas Froberg on vocals and guitar in this one, and there's a couple newer members. They played on the last album or two, while Mirko DeMeo I think has played on the last 3 or 4 albums, and Lolly Larson, the keyboardist, he's the one that probably is on keyboards. He's only been in the band since 2003, and I think he's probably what's changed the sound the most. And I say that because earlier stuff, a lot more Mellotron or older sounding proggy sounds on the keyboard. Well, he adds in a little bit more of the newer modern synth sounds since he's joined. Nothing like super crazy or anything like that, but I've noticed that's a little bit of a change. But even though I say that, the first thing I actually really noticed about this album is how stark and bare it actually started out. One thing I've noticed about Flower Kings over the years is how involved their music is, and epic, and everything their music actually is. And although this had that, it wasn't as much epicness about this one. It had more peaks and valleys. Started out really strong. I think the first few songs of this one really front-loaded. And then as the, excuse me, cleared my throat here. I've been sick for a couple weeks, so please excuse me. But as the album progressed, the songs, there's only a couple really long songs here, like the 10-minute mark. Otherwise, everything's 5 to 8 minutes, somewhere in there. And in the middle of the album, I think a few of those songs, quite honestly, if they hadn't been on here, I probably wouldn't have missed them. And then the last 3 or 4 songs ended pretty strong again. In fact, the very last, that one really built up epically, like you'd want from a Flower Kings album. That one actually, called Considerations, that one really built up strong. There's an instrumental one there called Kaiser Roll in the middle, didn't do too much for me. And quite honestly, I only listened to this once. It's hard for me to distinguish one song from the next, which, I could say about a lot of the Flower Kings albums. I don't mean that in a derogatory way anyway, but you pretty much know what you're going to get with a Flower Kings album. Royan's playing, to me, is like the highlight of the band. He's got a great singing voice, too, and they do a lot of dual vocals. But his guitar playing for me is what did it. I actually found this band through Transatlantics, Neil Morse. My, appreciation of his music kind of led me to this band. So, and then of course I've kind of found them somewhere in the middle of their career, went back and started listening to the earlier stuff. And, also on this one, I've kind of gotten used to the last, 20 years of playing of Jonas, Reingold's bass playing. And I did notice, I don't remember listening to the last one, because I think Michael played on the last one as well. last two or three actually, but on this one I really noticed the bass playing style's a lot different than what I've gotten used to. So it's busier, and not that that's a bad thing, it's just a different style. He just has a really different style of playing than Jonas did. Like fills in a lot of the gaps with his quirky little fills that he does. Nothing too crazy, but I just picked up a different feel from the bass playing. And like I said, overall, I enjoyed the album. I'm probably going to listen to this again too, in a couple days or so. But right now, I'm going to take a break from it because it's quite a journey. The only other thing I wanted to point out is they always try to do something a little bit new. And like I said, it started out a little bit stark. Like the first couple songs started out a little bit more rock and more bare bones than you would expect. But of course, they gradually build as the songs go on. And in the middle, there was a little bit more, I forget which song it was actually. It was right around, it might have been The Phoenix or The Promise. I can't remember for sure on this one, quite honestly. I wasn't reading the song titles as they were playing through. I was just kind of sit back listening. There was a little bit of I had an Irish feel, but not a Celtic feel, more like an Irish folk type feel in one of the songs, which I don't recall ever hearing before in any of their stuff. So that was a different flavor that I hadn't heard. And there's definitely some more jazzy flavors here and there, especially on the keys. A lot of more little jazzy flavors. Not too much in the guitar playing that I can really remember right off the top of my head here, but maybe I'll notice again after a couple more listens. But as I was saying, we're back to the first listen review, and I would have to say I'm very satisfied with it. It's everything I would expect. There's a couple little extra flavors in there that I hadn't heard before, so that's nice to hear. Otherwise, no complaints. So anyway, I know it's kind of a bare bones review, but that's about all I got for you on this one. And quite honestly, there's not a whole lot coming out this week, so there's one other one that I actually dove into right after this one, and I'm sure I'll get back to this before the weekend's over, but for right now, that's what I got. If any of you guys out there have anything you want to comment, and if you've heard it, what do you think? As always, feel free. Your likes and dislikes or whatever else you want to say about this band. Anything else we should check out? I know they got tons of side projects going there. I know I just had a Car Mechanic album I got a few weeks ago that was amazing, so that's kind of a little offshoot, but the history, you could go down a rabbit hole naming all the bands that are intertwined with these guys. But anyway, like, share, and subscribe, keep this music alive, because they're going to keep putting out quality stuff like this. I'm always willing and ready to spend my hard-earned money on it. So until then, we'll see ya.